Okay, I want to talk about Marvel Rivals again, and I think Gambit is bad for the game. Hear me out. Hear me out. You have to hear me out here. I think conceptually, Gambit is probably the best thing to ever happen to the support role, right? That can't be denied. He has so much util, he's so fun, you don't have to play him as a heal bot. That is really, really good for that role, because all the other supports where you don't have to heal bot and you're encouraged to do other things have pretty low healing. The problem, I think, is in his numbers. Since he does so much damage, and he does the healing of a typical aim down main heal bot support, I think the problem is there is now no reason to play DPS. Right? The triple support was already meta, and now you play 3 supports and Gambit. And so if your 2 supports are doing fine, Gambit plays DPS, and if they're not, or if one of them dies, well, he dashes back and he plays healing. And that's really good, but it just cements triple support and removes the need for DPS. We get 2-3 more heroes like this, with this much util, this much damage, this much flexibility. There might not be any strategist slash DPS. You might just play only those characters because they're so flexible. You can heal bot, you can not heal bot, you can do all of these things. And I think that's bad, because with how the game goes, healing is the strongest thing in the game. And because healing is so strong, they've been doing things like buffing Psylocke ult, which didn't really need a buff. It's kind of now. Like, there used to be cool counterplay within the game itself. You isolate targets, and targets that weren't isolated had a higher chance of surviving. The whole team could just jump inside of it, and now it's worthless. Like, it was skill gap, there was team play there, and now they buffed it, which now it does it 2 shots any character under 400 health. I'm pretty sure 2 shots Daredevil. He's 375, right? It's crazy. But since healing is so strong, and they're adding all this stuff to stop healing, when Gambit doesn't end up healing enough, or if people aren't seeing the success that they want on Gambit, if they ever see a lack in healing with him, they're just gonna buff it. They're gonna buff his abilities. And that's bad, because that just increases triple support. It increases support sustain meta, and he's a DPS as well, right? It feels like we've already seen this happen with Invis, actually. So Invis had pretty good healing, but wasn't as good as Loki Luna. Pretty good damage, wasn't as good as Loki Luna, but had the most and the best util for her entire team. Like, not for herself. Like, Loki has good util, but it helps only him. Invis has good util for the team, right? Invis has the push. Invis has the pull as well. She has the tickle orb that slows people down, because it's trying to pull them towards the center. And her shield, if she places it and then you walk through it, you get slowed. Also, it's a shield that heals, so increases burst at least for a little bit and mitigates damage. And then she wasn't good enough. She didn't heal enough, so they increased the healing. Just recently, they increased the damage, the speed, and the travel distance, which means you heal more, damage more, and faster. As well as her ult got buffed recently. Not this patch, but the last patch. Maybe 2 patches, I don't know. But now it does more damage. It does more healing, more slowdown. Like, slowdown just for standing in it, slowdown on your way in and on your way out. Like, it is crazy how good Invis is now. And they haven't touched her util. She has the best heals, the best damage. Like, she can heal and damage at the same time for the least amount of effort. So effort to value, it's really high, because you can just hit your tank and then you just whittle the other tank away. You're essentially canceling out the other team's healing to an extent, plus whatever your other team is damaging them for. So low effort, high reward healing and damage. Best util in the game, best ultimate in the game, because she keeps getting buffed. But originally, I thought it was actually fairly balanced. Yeah, she didn't have a very good ultimate compared to Loki. Loki copied Luna, but compared to Luna and Cloak and Dagger, but that's fine. because her util was so strong. You didn't play her. She wasn't banned or played because of how strong her healing and her ult were. She was played and or banned in those early tournaments because of how strong her util was and how much she could mess up the players. If they wanted to buff Invis, I think they should have buffed her utility and kept her as this third support that you play for util. I think that's what triple support should be. Triple support should be you lose out on the damage, you gain a little bit of healing, but your team's total utility goes way up. That's why Mantis is really good, because she does damage comparable of that of a DPS. Her healing is less though, so she kind of is hard to play in a triple support meta unless she's kind of hard to play in two supports, in a two support team comp, unless your team's just the goats. And people in my rank, even me sometimes, don't even know how to use cover to mitigate damage. Sometimes you'll just watch them walk down main, fire, and so you kind of have to heal through that. I played support sometimes, not as much as I play tank, but it is what it is. I try to hug the corners, you try to mitigate damage, but unless your team knows how to mitigate damage in that way, then she's really hard to play in a two support comp. But she does do that thing of like less damage, kind of the same damage, and the damage boost and the ult with speed up and overshield. It's good util. Like she takes away your damage, doesn't really do much to your healing, and gives you really good util. That's what triple support should be, not sustained meta. And what Gambit is doing is you don't get rid of any of your heals, you don't get rid of any of your damage, and you gain shit loads of utility. Like, it is insane how much utility he brings to the game. The cleanse, the CC, the anti-heal, his card throw. Not only does it bounce and do a lot of healing, it also increases the amount of healing that the people hit by it gain for the next couple of seconds. And then his ultimate is also a cleanse. It's also a speed boost and a jump boost and a damage boost and an ultimate efficiency gain boost. Like, his util is so strong, but it doesn't take away from his other stuff. Right? And so that's why I think he's bad, because conceptually he should be really good. He should be like the next Invis, where you have a lot of utility and you can do what you want. You can help your team without having to heal bot all the time. And some of the support you supply to your team doesn't come from just healing down main, and that is good. We should have more supports like that. But Gambit, how he works right now, you don't need a second DPS. You can play 2 tanks, 3 supports, one of them being Gambit, and 1 DPS. And you can play like Jeff Invis Gambit. And your Jeff is firing down main, healing everybody, damaging everybody. Your Invis is firing down main, healing multiple people, damaging probably multiple people if they're good enough. I'm not that good at Invis, but you probably could. Has great team util, and then Gambit can do whatever he wants. He can play DPS, he can play support, he can play just support utility if he wanted to. He is that good with his util and with his damage numbers, and just it's so high that he can do whatever he wants. It kind of makes it irrelevant, because why would you play 2 DPS when you can have the sustain meta that we have always had with extra sustain without losing any DPS? It just doesn't really make sense, and I think that's the worst part, because conceptually he should be really good, but I'm scared that he will make DPS irrelevant. And if people really, really like this type of support, they will release more supports just like him with similar damage and health numbers, damage and healing numbers, and similar amounts of utility, and that's not very good, because then what I'm trying to say is essentially if we get 4 more Gambits, people who do just as much healing and just as much damage as Gambit does right now, where they can be a main healer, they can be a DPS, they have just as much util, what we're gonna end up seeing happen is like 4 support team comps. And that's kind of buns. Unless they make the ults really bad to where you need to play a typical main support. But even then, you can play a typical main support and then 3 of the people like that, and you don't lose any damage. In fact, you probably gain DPS than having a 2-2-2 comp. You don't lose any DPS, and you don't lose any healing. Your healing goes up because now you have 2 extra people who can heal if they need to. They self-heal themselves. Like, that's a problem. I hope that they don't buff him, because when I play against him, here's how the games go, right? If I am playing against a Gambit, or with a Gambit, it does not feel oppressive in a 2 support comp. But if they are playing Gambit, and if it's triple support, and they are playing Gambit, and we are not, we lose. Every time. Or we're forced on some form of triple support, because you cannot keep up with the amount of damage he can do, and the amount of healing he can do in a single game. It's just really hard. And so, what are you gonna do? You have to go triple support as well. And that's what I mean. Like, he's not super oppressive, but the game kind of bends around him in that kind of way. Where if they're playing Gambit and they are playing triple support, which means the Gambit is allowed to be flexible and do whatever he wants. He doesn't have to make sure people are kept up. Well, then he gets to do whatever he wants, and then you kind of get oppressed because of it. You either go Gambit triple support, or you go some other form of triple support, or your team just goes, we need more DPS. We need more DPS. Triple DPS comp. It always works. You see everyone playing that all the time. It always works. Anyways, that's a rant for another time. I think it's weird. I hope he doesn't get super buffed. I hope he kind of stays where he is. Maybe lower the damage numbers a bit. Or just lower the health. Keep his util the same, but his base healing lowered. Because I like how flexible he is. But I don't like the direction where it's heading. I don't like what this looks like from my perspective as a just casual player who enjoys the game. This makes the future of the game look pretty bad. Where, like, they're kind of saying this role is pretty much irrelevant. Because unless the DPS is just super cracked, then there's no real point of playing them when you could do healing and damage and util. Where the DPS can't really do all that stuff, so why would you play them? Like, Iron Man can't do that. Mr. Fantastic doesn't have team utility. Blade doesn't. Iron Fist doesn't. Like, there's so many DPS, but none of them really have team utility. So if we get 4 more Gambits, why would you play any DPS? Because all of your healers all of your strategists have the damage of a DPS, the healing of a heal bot, and the util to go for days to help your entire team. So why would you play anything? And that future doesn't look very good for the game. So I hope they do something to balance him, to make it so he's not like that. But at the same time, I think on paper he is the best because of how flexible he is. So I don't know what the correct answer is to balance this, right? I don't know. But I hope something's done, at least, to show that, like, this guy, okay, maybe he is a little busted on release. Anyway, yeah. Wet Willy!